Hello from the other side. I'm Dale Rodman Jr. III, and this is Slow to Pro, a video series where we go from slow to a barely recognizable monster of a human being. We're here at the world's most famous parking lot, Paul Ricard, for the second to last round of Zealous Racing League's Season 11 Championship. We got 17 cars on the grid, starting in P16. It's time for the green flag. Now you might be wondering why I skipped qualifying after saying that I wasn't gonna skip qualifying anymore, but it was raining during the session, so I decided not to psych myself out in case the race ended up being dry. But we ended up with mixed conditions here. You may notice the forecast says it's gonna start raining in about 10 minutes, so things are gonna get exciting. We're through T1 nice and clean, through T2 also nice and clean. Got a Mercedes there, exploring the runoffs. And as much as I make fun of Paul Ricard for being flatter, wider, and more boring than your mama, it's those three things mixed together that usually provide really good racing. And on top of that, it means a micro mistake won't cost you the entire race. Now we're coming into what I consider the most vital part of the circuit. These turns leading up to the big straight. Got a whole big old glob of cars going side by side, shoulder to shoulder, bumper to bumper in front of us. And we've got Lenny, our good friend, trying to creep up the inside. But I say no, Lenny. No, I let off the gas so I don't smash into the Porsche. And now as we go down the straight, we're going to go ahead and slide over into the draft of a Ferrari. And I'm going to ask you to do me a solid and click the like button. I know it's stupid, but it makes a difference. Also, if you haven't already subscribed, go on and consider doing so now so you can find yourself back here real easy. Almost as easy as passing two Porsches down the straight in the draft of a Ferrari to put yourself up into P14. As long as you can make it stick. But the passes always stick when you stick with Dale. Stick, stick, stick. Trying to stick to the tail of this Ferrari right here. Gonna run it a little bit wide. Gonna open up a window for this sneaky little Porsche behind me to come say, hey Dale, I want to peek. I want to see what it's like to go side by side with you. But instead of getting frazzled, I'm dazzled because I know I got the inside to the next turn. So we're gonna be able to hold on to P14, which is where we're gonna finish the opening lap. But if we skip ahead now to turn one, things are getting exciting. Got the Mercedes and the Ferrari going at it. But as we come through turn one, that red Ferrari is gonna collide with a white Ferrari, turn himself around, send that white Ferrari off into the distance in front of us there. So now we're up into P13, and if we skip ahead to the end of the straight, we're gonna make a very predictable pass on the orange Mercedes. And if we can make this stick, it's gonna put us up into P12 overall, P4 within our class, and we've got P3 in our class directly in front of us there. So let's go ahead and skip ahead, see what happens next. Here we are on the final turn of lap number 2. Ferrari has a moment out there on the exit curbing, allows us to just swoop right up the inside, gonna put us up into P11 overall, P3 in class, first time getting into the podium for this race. And if we skip ahead to the 35-minute mark, rain started just like clockwork. And if we skip ahead again, we're still sitting in P11, P3 overall, coming through the fast right-hander at the end of the straight. Everybody's still on slicks, and the Honda loses it, and we don't have anywhere to go. So we ended up limping our way to the pits, got our damage repaired, got our wet tires put on, and let's go ahead and skip ahead now to when we came out of the pits, all the way down in P15. But if we skip ahead now all the way to about 11 minutes to go, we're up in P13. Other drivers suffered some drive-through penalties, so we gained 2 positions. Coming through the fast right-hander now, the Porsche in front of us, not going to be able to stick it, going to run a little bit wide. It's going to open up a window up the inside here, and we're going to take it. We're going to stuff our big fat bald head right up the inside here, and we make that pass stick like a twig, baby. We're going to go ahead and skip ahead to the final lap now, because that is actually it for the action. Unfortunately, that was the last pass, the last close call, the last anything. We ended up finishing out on a somewhat dry track, trying to keep these wet tires kind of okay. And I'm going to go ahead and throw up the standings for the top class drivers. Mr. Larson still with the commanding lead, but the battle for the remaining podium spots looks pretty heated. And here are the standings for the rest of us. Mr. Flores still in the lead by 34 points. 42 points separates myself from Mr. Collis in P3, and then just a few points separate the rest of the top 6. I'm pretty excited to see how it shakes out at Kyalami for the crown jewel race. It's going to be worth double points, so there's a lot of jumping around that could happen. And I will be back later this week or early next week with all the action from that season-ending finale at Kyalami. As always, thank you so much for watching Slow to Pro. I'm Dale Rodman Jr. III. You guys have the kind of day you want to have.